Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome to another meta breakdown video for this week. Today we'll be going over the recent Oceania webcam regional that also took place over the weekend. Huge shout out to the Lookout for getting this information to me. I really appreciate those guys for one, putting together awesome infographics, and for two, sending them to me so I can cover them here on the channel and just shed some light on some non-American events, because we always want to make sure we're getting everyone some equal representation. So that being said, guys, if you're new, make sure to subscribe, hit that bell so you never miss a video. And if you're looking to buy any trading cards at all, it does help me out if you use my link in the description to TCG Player. I really do appreciate it. As always, let's go ahead and jump right on into the information. So we have the Oceania regionals from June 25th. We had a total of 45 players, and of course you can expect this was probably a best of one pre-side event. And we have our top 16 here. Now we have a rather high concentration of Gohan yet again. I mean, coming off of the insane representation from the Tennessee regional, this is not nearly that much, but it's still the most highly repped deck in this top 16 overall. But however, first place was managed to be taken by Soul Striker, and this is a leader that many of us thought players would go to with the ban of Gamma. Not that it can facilitate all those Android cards that Gamma was able to play, but because it kind of fills that mid-range blue role where it's able to be like a little bit aggressive. It's not as aggressive as like Blue Baby from the new set or Gohan Superhero, but it is a little bit faster than like the 21s of the world, and it gives you extra energy to play with. The biggest problem for Goku is getting Awakened, but I mean, there are plenty of cards nowadays you can play to fix that problem. It's just really a matter of drawing them. But now, besides that, let's go through the top 16 here and talk about some outliers. We do have a Frieza swap here, all the way as high as third place. This is really, really cool. Now, I want to clarify something I mentioned in yesterday's video where I was talking about how if you go to the Z leader, you can basically do all your swaps for free. I was wrong about that. You can't do that. And I don't even know why I said that, because I knew you couldn't do that. Basically, I had a comment on an older video talking about, why didn't you mention that you can swap for free? And I just kind of like got in the flow of talking in the video like I do sometimes, and just my brain kind of melted for a second. I just mentioned that, so sorry about that misinformation. But yeah, Frieza Swap's still a very, very powerful deck. And basically, when you're looking at the yellow decks like Majin Vegeta, which takes up a large majority or a decent majority of this top 16, you're looking at what each yellow deck offers you as a player. And I was talking about what Frieza offers in yesterday's video real briefly. I mean, offering Cold Bloodlust is great against a lot of SCRs in the current format. Think about Golden Cooler and Gohan Beast. Having a 1 energy answer to those cards is very, very nice. And then you have the ability to negate your opponent's effects on play, or not their on play effects, but when they are played, your Frieza will trigger to stop their effects. Very similar to Sin, Shenron, Cold Hearted, Shadow Dragon, that every yellow deck is teching right now to get a similar effect. Frieza has it built into the archetype, which is very, very good. Going on the list, we have set 10 Zamasu, believe it or not. We'll take a look at some of these deck lists because the Lookout was kind enough to supply those as well. That is an insane deck to see top here. It's one that like some of our teammates always go back to every single set, because it is like a decently good generic blue leader, kind of relying on Zeno Unison from what I understand, but it is a really cool leader nonetheless. Pan, definitely expect to see it here. Then we have 2 Gohans in 7th and 8th place. Then we do have a Majin Vegeta, an Expert 21, a regular set 20 21. Blue Baby finally making its first official top cut appearance in a set 21 regional. This deck is very powerful. I expect more and more players to pick it up. This honestly might be held back by the fact that the tournament pack promos are quite expensive right now, and they are vital to play this card at a competitive level. Then we have Future Gohan. We're 100% going to take a look at that list. That's just insane to see this deck top in any capacity. We have Trunks Reboot, we have Pan Reboot once again, and Ultimate Cell, which is definitely a bit more of a fringe green deck. But let's take a look at some of the other data that the Lookout compiled before we go into deck lists. So we have the full breakdown of the 45 decks, Gohan being the most represented deck in the entire room. Now, I know that some people are calling for this to be the best deck in format. I definitely think it's super early to make any assumptions like that, but it's definitely the most popular deck, that's for sure, followed by Majin Vegeta, which was picking up a whole lot of popularity after last format, and then Pan being the third most highest. Definitely a little bit surprising. You know, Red is very popular. We definitely have our die-hard Red players out there, and Pan probably is the best one to go to, although I still have stock in Android 13. I think Android 13 is still really, really good. But you can see the other list of the singleton decks to the left here. What's funny is Soul Striker seemed to be a singleton, and that one player went all the way to win, so that's pretty cool. Now let's go to the last piece of data they compiled for us. So we have the color diversity pie chart. So overall, it seems like, if I'm reading this correctly, there were 14 blue decks in total out of the entire 45, making it the most repped color in the entire room. Then we do have green at the second most repped. A large majority of that, about half of that from what we saw, was the new green Gohan deck. Yellow being the third most repped color in general, although it's funny that the third most repped deck in the room was Pan, but not much other red was played besides that from the looks of this. And then black kind of teetering behind as the least played color in the room. Very interesting stuff. I love how Lookout compiles all this stuff. Now let's take a look at some of the deck lists. All right, guys, here we are starting with the first place Soul Striker deck. Now I want to make one quick mention. Unfortunately, it looks like the Lookout was not able to get that Zamasu profile. I'm sure if they get it, they'll add it, but I'm going to link down in the description the Lookout's video that went over this Oceania regional, because they have all of the deck lists in the description of that video. So definitely go ahead and check that out to see all the deck lists. We'll go over, I think, like 4 of them today, but just some of the ones that were definitely interesting, like first place Soul Striker for sure. So going through, I mean, of course, besides the one Boo Unison, our Unison of choice is Baby the Unknown Parasite, which pairs super well with Baby Golden Avenger, getting that free counter, and being a +2 Unison, it's still relatively tanky. And then you have Floodgates, like Defending Friends, to try and protect it, right? We have our 117 Turning the Tide, which we talked about a couple weeks ago, with now every blue deck pretty much having the ability to ramp thanks to Android 21 in the Name of Hunger. That's definitely a really big thing this deck has going for it. And then Oob, Focus, Full Strength, Blow. Again, like, I think we saw a Soul Striker list from a week or two ago that were playing this as well in at least Oceania. So we'll see how much this card picks up in other regions. But it seems like in Australia, this card is very, very popular. Then we go along with some classic stuff. Of course, Pickle the Infiltrator plus Pan, Glimpse of Talent. We do have a full 4 copies of Peel Off Shu and Mai, Cunning Trio. This card is so good. And honestly, I don't see any reason not to play it. I mean, at the worst case, it is a cantrip, but it's got the flexibility of being a counterattack that allows you to then choose a keyword skill and remove that. And it also can interrupt your opponent's combos, which just makes it a super, super good 1-drop. And like the baseline of it just being a cantrip, yeah, this is definitely a warrant to like 3 to 4 of, I would say, for sure, because it's just so flexible. Then for our super combo split, 2 Vegeta, 2 Zenos, very cool. Some more combo stuff, Infernal Villainy Cell, Ultra Instinct Kamehameha. Bardock Awakened Instincts making a return as well. We saw this was very popular in Oceania last time too. And we have the Mirror Creator Absorbed, Overwhelm choice. Very, very funny. Down to the Z deck. Pretty standard stuff. We have the option of Z Awakening into the Ramp Goku leader, which, again, funny, we can get into faster thanks to Android 21 in the Name of Hunger. So it seems like Soul Striker can actually pivot super nicely into like pure mid-range and then go into like more of a pure control with the ramp. That's pretty cool there. Then we have the sideboard. So we have Mafuba. What's cool about this is it prevents you from being burned by the Goku Gohan 8-drop Solidarity from the new Gohan deck, because it won't be on the board to see the auto of the Goku being comboed. At least as far as I'm aware, that's how it should work. So yeah, definitely pretty nice about that. Plus it just shuts down other boss monsters in general. It seems like you almost kind of need this now that Dirty Burst is gone, although your opponent will get on attack effects, which is kind of unfortunate, but at least it's still there to shut down some of those boss monsters. Now, as far as Awakening is concerned, are we only playing the 2 copies of Awakening Talent Pan again? I'd be a little surprised. I guess the answer is yes. So I guess in the current format, you don't have to worry about too much about your opponent not attacking you. Unless you play against 21, they don't have to attack you until they're good and ready to do so. They do have to put you to 4 life eventually, because that's just how they're going to go ahead and win the game. But yeah, I think I would play a little more Self-Awakening. But obviously, what am I talking about? It worked out for this player, so very, very cool stuff. Let's go ahead and take a look at our second place Gohan list here. So we have 3 Gohan and 3 Goku. And what I realized about this, one thing I've learned from playing the deck a bit more, is that you can actually awaken without ever having to play these cards. I mean, obviously you can do that if you get to 4 or less life, right? But you can sort of control that getting to 4 or less life via the Vegeta Arrogance and Trunks Mysterious Future Warrior combo, because if your opponent's at least attacked you twice, or you've had some other way to get down to 6, and you have either of these under your Hyperbolic Time Chamber, you can play one of them and then take up to 2 life if you would like to. So you can get Awaken on turn 2, which also allows you to then Z Awaken by playing Android 16 Final Wish, as long as your opponent has enough energy and you have enough as well to meet that requirement. And then you can get Awakened or Z Awakened on the following turn. Kind of convoluted what I was talking about, but hopefully it made a little bit of sense. Then down to the sideboard, we have our Focus Breakthrough. I wonder if there's any in the main board. Oddly enough, I almost feel like Focus Breakthrough and cards like it are going to want to be a 3 to 4 of, because answering Floodgates against certain decks is going to be so important. But just my opinion. We are playing the Goku Peace Resolution SCR. I think in the beginning of this format, this card is going to be very, very good. And like, it gets worse when your leader attack is constantly negated, but certain decks just can't really do that. They can't always negate the leader swing, so it is always going to be good in those cases as well. But if more like negate heavy decks rise up, this card might get a little bit worse, but that's my opinion. And then going down here to the sideboard, we do have Koitsukai, we do have Deborah, which definitely, like, more than ever is going to be a huge side deck staple in this format. Let's take a look at third place. We do have Frieza Swap. So we have a varied lineup of 3 drops because we did get the recent reveal of Frieza Provoking Attack. Definitely a card you want to include because of the deflect. Then for our 5-drop lineup, I like this 5-drop lineup quite a bit. We have 3 Spirit Clash, 2 Frieza Waiting to See, which is our Sin Shenron sort of equivalent of negating skills when cards are played. And the one of Frieza Limitless Raw Power is great too because it is good against the green decks, because just for 1 turn it just can't be removed, period. So that is definitely quite nice. We have our boss card, we have our Return of the Army of Terror, which is our consistency in the deck, and then we have a bunch of yellow staples going throughout. And once again, the return of Bardock Awakened Instincts is definitely pretty good. Going down to the Z deck, very interesting inclusion, Goku Finishing Blow. I definitely find it cool to see this card outside of the flip-flop Goku deck. I don't believe you can use the first auto because it's not going to be under a Whis Z battle card, but I guess it's pretty cool that when it's played, it'll gain crit and barrier, and then when it attacks, you KO something in rest mode and it gains plus 5k. That'll trigger twice, so actually on its own it'll at least hit 15k. So while I think 2 energy and 3 Z energy is maybe just a little bit costly, it is actually quite nice to have that removal like completely on demand. I could see this being more of like a yellow Z deck staple for decks that do struggle a little bit in the removal department, because honestly Frieza does struggle a bit with removal. If you're not swapping into Spirit Clash, you're not really getting a board wipe until you get to your boss monster, so that makes a lot of sense. I like that tech quite a bit. Then down to the sideboard, Mutaito is actually huge right now, and I'm so happy to see this card come back. I love this card so much. It just brings me back to a great time in the game where I had a ton of fun. Not that I'm not having fun now, but yeah, really good card against the Goku Gohan 8-drop in green, and then typical other yellow stuff with a 3 split of Koitsukai. And now going to the 13th place list, we actually have Future Gohan. So admittedly, I'm not super familiar with how this engine works because it's been so long since I've played this deck. But it seems like we do lean heavily into the Future Gohan / Future Trunks chain, ending up on Might Born of Hope. This guy is kind of a beast, and I think you can cheat him out for about 3 energy if I'm remembering correctly. He does have the barrier, but that doesn't mean too much in the modern metagame unless you're able to actually deal with that Goku Gohan 8-drop Goku Gohan Solidarity. And in the side deck, well, we don't have a side deck here, maybe it just wasn't uploaded properly, but I almost have to assume that Mutaito was in that side deck, because in that matchup, if you can stop that Goku Gohan from swinging, it does keep your boss monster safe, and in general just keeps your hand and your life safe as well. So it's a super huge important tech. We do have a full 4 of Pan Inherited Bloodline, which is a very interesting tech from the Z deck, because we do have 4 copies of Gohan Come What May, and this is I believe a 2-drop Z battle card that should trigger the play of Pan, so that's pretty cool there. And this card was printed for the deck to help get the engine going pretty smoothly, so that's nice. Yeah, I think overall, I mean, I'm gonna add this one to my testing gauntlet, because having a deck like this with just characters that I love and possibly having it be a bit more meta relevant is definitely quite exciting for me. But overall, guys, yeah, there are way more deck lists to go over, but I'm not going to go over every single one in this video. So if you want to check them out, again, check out the link in the description to the Lookouts video. Huge shout out to them once again for supplying me with this info. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions, please do drop them down in the comments. Thanks, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.